Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode. I'm going to be really honest with you. I just did a whole video and forgot to press record. So there's that. That's okay. Take two. Take one for you, take two for me. We're going through the UOU book here, having a little bit of a discussion. Right now, we are in chapter two. Chapter two is a good one. I think chapter two kind of speaks to the current generation and this feeling of being alone and kind of how we can break free from that. And I know for me that one of the terms that I hear a lot now is social anxiety. Social anxiety. I had never heard that word growing up. And I feel like if we would just delete that word from the dictionary, maybe social anxiety would go away. I'm not sure if that's how it works, but I can keep my fingers crossed for that, right? Just like delete that word, doesn't exist. So therefore, you can't have it. The title of this chapter is You Are Never in It by Yourself. You are only alone when you tell yourself you're alone. You were never in it by yourself. You are only alone when you tell yourself you're alone. And I loved this chapter for the reasons of I tend to find myself alone often. I thought it was cool because he mentioned almost right away in the chapter introverts versus extroverts. And I would identify as an introvert. If you're going to give me two options, introverted. But I am also very well aware of how important networking and I'm also very aware of how important people are. There is no way that we go through this life without other people. And sometimes I think we kind of just get stuck, and I don't know how we end up stuck, but I do know that there is a point in our lives in which we are all just trying to find our people. If you think back to, when you were young, preschool, elementary, middle school, high school, even college, if you think back to that time, you gravitate towards a certain group of people. You just gravitate towards them. You're always trying to find where you fit in, who you can laugh with, who you can have a good time with, who you can confide in, who is going to give you good advice. We are always trying to find our people. And as an extrovert, it's a little bit easier for you to find your people because your people are everyone. But as an introvert, you're a little bit more cautious with your attempts to find people. But if you think big picture, and we're talking about success, how can we be successful at life, at our personal relationships, at school, in our professional relationships, our professional realm? And the answer always is communication, connection with people. You can't get away from people. Sorry, no matter how hard us introverts might try, you can't get away from them. So you have to figure out a way to not necessarily coexist because we're doing that already, but you just have to figure out a way to connect with others in a way that's meaningful to you and that benefits you as well. I thought it was cool that he said in his story how even though he went through this crazy down spiral, he is just a natural extrovert. And so he craves people to begin with. And he was able to find his way back to a place in which he found his chosen family. I thought that was cool wording, his chosen family. For the first time, he said he felt, a sense of togetherness and closeness and connection. And I thought that was so powerful because I think if you can find your team, sometimes you just are given a team and you're told to go figure that out. But if you can find your team, surround yourself with people who are going to motivate you and correct you when needed and encourage you when the time is right. I think that is a super powerful, powerful thing. And he was able to find his people at the Detroit Center Church. And you can just, things I feel like took just a huge changed. The direction of his life took a huge shift once he was able to find his people. Something else that he also said that very much stuck out to me is to find support, you have to be open to accepting support. And I kind of switched out some of the words in there. For me, it's like to find your people, if you're looking for them, you have to be open to accepting people into your life. You have to be open to accepting. And I actually never would have thought about this. There's one other thing that he said. He said that if you tell yourself you are alone, excuse me, then you are alone. But then he doubled up and he said, this is the mindset of someone who has things that are happening to them. And I just had to stop because I was like, oh, I would have never put those things together. But how true it is that if you're feeling alone, if you're feeling like you're by yourself, if you're feeling like there's no way out, if you're feeling unsupported, you have this feeling as if this is happening to you, and therefore there's no way out of it. But we now know that we can look at it from the facts perspective, and we have to be more open to accepting our people, to going out and making connections, to talking to people, to asking questions when necessary. I never would have thought of it as a victim's mindset. Like, you get used to this wide pool of people in which you have available to you, and it kind of just starts to shrink. And so you can kind of get stuck in that depressive mindset, but it's a mindset and you have the opportunity to switch it if you want to. So switch it. No one fails alone and no one succeeds alone. So just know, as we are going through this crazy thing called life, there are people out there who are ready and willing to help. We just have to be willing to ask and willing to accept the help. Another cool thing he kind of ended the chapter with is understanding strengths, weaknesses, understanding communication and how to better communicate with others. And one of the tools that he used to better communicate with others, to better understand people, is the flight assessment. Now, the flight assessment, my understanding, is very similar to the DISC assessment. I've never taken the flight assessment. I will take the flight assessment after this video, but I have taken the DISC assessment, and I'm a strong believer in the DISC assessment because as I am very aware, and I think we all are aware, we make snap judgments about people anyway. That's just what our brain does. Our brain is designed to make snap decisions, snap judgments about people. And so if we're going to make snap decisions, snap judgments, at least let's have some information behind it. And the cool thing about this also is we all have our own stories. The way that I grow up with my family and the conversations we have, that's my normal. But just because that's my normal doesn't make that your normal. And so when we meet to have a conversation, maybe I have to, be more willing and more open to understanding where you're coming from so that we can bridge this gap of communication that usually exists everywhere, in my personal opinion. But I try not to talk to people with the expectation that they were raised like me. I have no idea. In fact, I really just, like I said, just want to meet you where you are. Like whatever you got going on over there, I just need to know so we can meet up somewhere in the middle so that we can communicate. Because communication is definitely one of the keys. Good chapter. I'm excited about the next one. I don't know if I need to actually open the book, but I'm going to find the chapter. I'm excited about moving on to chapter 3 because we're going to be talking about discovering our superpower. So, discover your superpower, which I have a feeling is going to be really good. He says, when you find and channel your superpower, you move toward your path of purpose. I can't wait to dive into chapter 3. Hopefully, you're excited as well. Hopefully, also, you're feeling motivated. You're feeling the passion. You're feeling excited to just go forth and do something new. Challenge yourself and, I don't know, do something that you've always wanted to do. All right. On that note, I guess we'll see you next week, right? See you next week. See you next video. Okay. We'll see you there. Bye.